Diversity can be disruptive. Open any newspaper today and you'll likely read about Brexit, the expansion of right-wing political parties in Europe, or even the rise of Donald Trump. Just a few of the more striking examples of how diversity-driven tensions have pushed so many outside of their comfort zones and to take refuge in defensive tactics. Diversity can provoke these kinds of self-protective reactions, whether it's in politics, in the job market, or at the office. However, it can also provoke many positive reactions, like excitement, and foster learning, innovation, and growth. If we are to encourage these positive outcomes, can we change the way we approach differences and develop new reflexes? Historically, the diversity question has been addressed from two perspectives. First, from a quantitative approach, through gender quotas or affirmative action plans working on the numbers. And second, from a qualitative approach, through integration, and more recently, inclusion. Inclusion, which remains elusive for many societies and businesses, is about encouraging constructive contributions of individual collaborators that fuels collective creativity and performance. It requires us to see and to mobilize differences constructively. However, even firms that have attained strong diversity representations at entry level struggle to transpose that diversity to the upper echelons of the firm's hierarchy. This persistent gap illustrates the complex reality of diversity and inclusion and the difficulty of creating a winning combination. Imagine this scene, if you will. A young man is out driving with his father when an oncoming car collides with their vehicle. The father is killed on impact while the son survives, gravely injured. At the hospital, the surgeon on duty refuses to operate on the young man, explaining, "I can't operate on this patient, he's my son." If this anecdote leaves you scratching your head wondering, wasn't this young man's father killed? You may have an unconscious gender bias. In other words, regardless of how you consciously feel about gender equality, it may not have occurred to you in the moment that a surgeon can be a woman and mother. Some researchers suggested that this kind of unconscious bias is to blame for the persistent lack of various kinds of diversity, be it gender, ethnicity, or sexual orientation, for example, in roles typically held by a dominant profile. Some argue the solution is teaching awareness, and while this has generated interest, its impact on changing diversity-related behavior remains to be seen. Awareness training is an important first step. However, it deals with diversity in a non-disruptive manner and fails to address how uncomfortable diversity can make us feel. By recognizing those who were formerly underrepresented, diversity throws us into uncharted territory and questions fundamentals we once took for granted. What decisions need to be made, who will make them, and how will they be implemented? But what if this disruption were the missing link between diversity and inclusion? The key is to see disruptive moments in a positive light as moments that force us to see things from new perspectives or that solicit a cognitive effort and focus our attention on the unexpected. By embracing the disruptive nature of diversity, organizations can multiply their alternative viewpoints and reflexes, boost their ability to innovate, and give themselves a competitive advantage.